This video is about how I scored 87% and passed my PHRi exam in just 10 weeks. And also I'll share my study plan, the revision tactics, and exam tips. How many of you have done the opposite? You read something, you get to the end of the page, and then you forget what you just read. I think this is a big problem while preparing for any exam because you're wasting your most valuable asset, which is your time. So therefore, I keep to the strategy called reading with understanding. The key to reading to understanding is not to cover as much as possible, but to figure out what's worth knowing and what is not. Okay, now let's jump to the exam overview first. So the exam cost a total of $495 US, and with 175 exam questions that you should answer within 3 hours. So PHR questions have different levels of difficulty based on NGov's approach, and therefore your correct answers are scored differently. And because the test is scale-based, your overall score will not be compared to the ones of other applicants. So when you are preparing and taking your pre-tests, aim for at least 80% of correct answers, because there is a good chance that you will pass the actual exam with approximately 70% of correct answers. But also factors like anxiety, timing, the quality of your pre-testing materials, and your study methods and time frames that you have, all this come into play on exam date. So therefore, you must score well on your pre-tests. When the exam started, I was really overwhelmed when I first saw the questions, and I really panicked for about 15 seconds. But then I pulled myself together and I began answering the questions that I was certain that I knew the answers to. So unfortunately, I only answered confidently to a maximum of 10 questions, and I recall reading only one question from the study materials. So at the first glance, I thought I'm completely screwed. Then I began to answer all of the questions that I felt I could quickly solve, either by using simple logic or by eliminating incorrect answers. And then I would choose between the two possible answers and cutting down my choices by half. And remember that sometimes there are two correct answers, but you must select the best one, which is the most strategic in the point of HR. I would definitely fail the exam if I relied on memorization, because the exam is not constructed in the same way as your university final exams, where a professor simply copies everything from the slides and then adds them into the exam questions. It's no wonder that professional certification exams are difficult and based on problem solving and cognitive reasoning. And I was really shocked to know that only 65% of PHR candidates actually passed the test. Talking about my study tips. So after my PHRi application was quickly approved, I began looking for useful but low-cost preparation materials. The first prep material that I found was PHR and SPHR book written by Sandra M. Reed. Here is the kit, which includes the book and practice test if you want to purchase it from Amazon. So it's really a very cost-effective solution to buy something in bundle in Amazon. Then I recommend using PHR flashcards and then reading the third book that is called PHR for Dummies. So I will leave all the links in the description. You can check them out. Please check them out, click on them, because I'll get the commission if you actually complete a purchase. But it's not actually what I'm aiming for. It's just a strong recommendation for a cost-effective and yet credible source to your preparation materials. So in my case, I read both PHR and PHRi prep materials, which total around 1,400 pages. To achieve this goal, I needed an adaptive study strategy. Otherwise, there is simply no way to get through this quickly. And I intended to complete everything in 10 weeks because I actually got stressed, I know that, and I am prone to burnout and I get bored quickly, and that's why I limited myself only to 10 weeks, and I thought I can only focus on one big challenge for 10 weeks before I get demotivated and lose interest. And the more time I spend reading something, the less it remains in my brain. So knowing this, I had to act quickly. Keep in mind that there are 4 learning styles in use today, which is seeing, listening, reading and writing, and touching. There is no one-fits-all approach, so use whatever works best for your learning. And because I'm a visual person, I use anything that helped me visualize the process. And then to give a leg up, I focused on the specific areas that will contain the majority of questions. So my first step was to kind of mentally divide the exam into largest chunks of questions that were asked from a specific area, and I focused more on this section. And then I concentrated on my 2 favorite parts, which is TA and total compensation. And I was also genuinely interested in the L&D section because I intend to launch a course for job seekers in the future, and this idea served as additional motivation for my overall comprehension of this part. Only after that, I concentrated on my weak points or on the areas of my least interest. The second step that helped me study more effectively was to study only when I was more receptive to it. I had all the prep materials uploaded to my Kindle, and it was my best friend for the next 10 weeks. Even reading something for 15 minutes was beneficial because after closing my Kindle, I began to think about the section that I just read, and my reflective process in my brain started. And as a result, keep it in my mind in a simple way that I should supposedly never forget again. So the third step that really helped me is taking notes using imagination. I created scenarios in which I imagined a real employee coming to me with problems or questions, and I imagined myself being a superhero HR who could easily answer any question and solve any problem. I broke down the most important concepts into keywords while taking those notes, and if something was too complicated to understand, I simply Googled it and I saved simple infographics in my notebook that I revised later. So the fourth step that really helped me is to ask myself where I could apply this or that concept. This all helps avoid memorization as much as possible. Additionally, using powerful tools such as calendars, test reminders, mobile applications, stick notes, flashcards, and downloading everything to my Kindle and reading whenever I wanted to, as well as taking as many tests as possible, everything worked like magic. You test yourself on and off before reading the explanation. And this way you will not make any mistakes because you understand the logic behind the question. Finally, I recommend taking breaks, relaxing, and refocusing your brain. During that time, I asked my family not to overburden me with daily responsibilities and give me a mental break. My advice to you is to meditate, sleep well, eat well, preserve your energy, exercise more, and divert your attention away from the exam to avoid these almighty burnout. I'm really sorry, guys, for my voice. My immune system decided to take a break, but I do hope that I shared something useful today. Don't be shy to comment, like, and sub the channel. Here I talk about HR things and how companies work. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.